So, what's going on, people? Today we're going to finish up with the basics of getting your car model in the game. We are going to cut out the windows on this thing. We already got all the lights going, as you saw. I still haven't adjusted the tail lights from what you saw in the last game. But something you might notice that's different here in this video is that you can see the texture on my car. So here's my bump texture as normal. Going over to the shader editor and looking at the base color here, I have gone into the folder and I took my base texture that we've been using, which is a TIFF file, but it's supposed to be indexed mode. So 256 colors, index mode for 4x4 Evo's purposes. But when we're in Blender, we can just take that file and convert it to RGB mode and look at the RGB version while we're in here. So that's essentially what I'm doing. I took that indexed texture that Evo needs, I just converted it to RGB mode. I'll show you that in a second. And then I'm looking at this here. For example, if I change this guy, I have the texture in my art directory here. It is this one that has the end label on it. If I open that here, you see we get the old look of the car, which is not what we want when we're in Blender. Excuse me. So all you have to do is you can change back and forth between these so that when you're in Blender working, you see the car as it should be. And then when you want to go into the game Evo, you rename the indexed file or however you choose to manage it and get the car in there. So, excuse me, here we go. How do we get the windows in here? What are the essential ingredients? We are going to have to cut some windows out of this model. My model just came as this straight car bin. The way the stock cars would do it is just kind of select everything that is around the window, like so. It worked really well for me here when I did it the first time. So if we were to select all these guys for our window, we are going to want to inset that stuff. Because you can see there's part of the door here that you don't want. Get that guy in there too. There's door over here that you do want to show up. So we have to figure out how to modify that, so on and so forth. And really we can just have it if we selected all this stuff. So let's see, let's keep going with our selection. Select this guy, all these guys, maybe these ones over here too. That stuff can all be window, and whatever is transparent will show up as transparent. Maybe we should just go around and select everything. I don't know. Like, so that's one side. We can flip around here. We could actually maybe do the whole thing all at once. How do we want to proceed? So, you know, it's a bit of an art form along the way. You always have to make decisions as you go. And let's see how this works. So, that last selection we don't want the mirror in there. Let's see what happens with this. That worked. And then we're going to go across and down, whoops, and get these three guys again in a second. Those are good. All right, that looks pretty fine. We could wrap all the way around, I guess, but I'm going to do the back window separately. All right, so this is one part that we want. All right, so we've gone back to the step where we've selected everything. And instead of duplicating all this stuff, we're going to separate it from the model. Because, good, we want the window separate, so it can be transparent in the areas that we make transparent on the textures. All right, so we got our window here. You should call your window glass E, and the E is for exterior, I learned by looking at stock models. So glass E for exterior. There's also glass I for interior. You can also make other things called glass, as we're going to do over here. The whole point of making this glass is that we are going to go, excuse me, and make it alpha. I don't want alpha clip, I want alpha blend. And as long as it has its own separate alpha section, the car won't become alpha 2. So that should work for us. And then coming back here, I want to grab all this stuff. I think that's where the window ends. You can see the texture inside. Here's a place where it's nice to inset this thing. So I am going to inset these guys. You could do that by holding I as well. And I'm going to move it until they're inside of that texture, basically. So like right there is good. Boom. And then I'm going to separate them from the model. And so we have this new body part. It's going to be the back windshield. So this guy we will call glass big E. And you just make any piece, what do you have? 2 to the 6th possibilities where you go uppercase or lowercase. So just choose any letter to be uppercase or different from the one that you originally named. All right, so going down here, that's also alpha blend. I'm gonna hit tab. Let's see here. This guy is alpha blend. The whole body model we want to be opaque, but it seems like these are all on the same alpha color channel right now. So how do you change that? Up here, I'm going to change the channel to something that I don't mind being invisible. Also, when we export this model, it will get its own color channel. So let's see, is there a way to just make one here? I don't know, we could put it on 5, say. And then we can always take something that was on 5 and put it on a different channel. So I'm gonna, yeah, that's alpha, good. And then coming around here, I'm also gonna put this guy on 2, 5, and then that should already be alpha. And then the main body should be opaque. That's good. And we notice, what do we notice? Anything? Nothing see-through yet, but that's how you cut out your windows. You select your stuff that you need, you right-click, you can separate the things out, and then you need to name them correctly so the game knows what part of the body they are. All right, so the next step is to open up Gimp and make the textures transparent like they need to be. So let's open up Gimp. And let's open up our textures. Okay, so open recent. What do we have here? We need our base color guy. And actually I'm just going to go to this directory. so I can show you guys what I've done. Evo 2 is where all my stuff is. Art is where all my current stuff that I'm working on is. I have my base color TIFF, I have my bump TIFF, and I have my indexed guy. So, this is the important thing. Open up your bump and your indexed guy. Alright, so this guy we don't need at the moment. Any transparency stuff that you're going to do needs to happen on this indexed file. Why is that important? Because if you do transparency in RGB mode and then convert it to indexed mode later, you will be a sad person. And that's because the conversion process to index mode is not very nice. What else can I say about that? I don't know. Maybe there is a good way of doing it and I just don't know it. So if anybody wants to leave me a comment and tell me a better way to do it, I'd be happy to learn. But I'm just going around here with the lasso tool. I am going to cut this window out, make it transparent. I'm not trying to be too careful because we're just doing this for the purposes of explaining. All right, so boom. We selected the window, and what we want to cut out from is the alpha layer. So I don't know if you can see, but alpha is black here. Now it's gray. It'll be selected when it's black, and I want the index deselected. I hit delete. This thing should appear transparent now. All right, and that's about all you do. You can leave some transparency, and I have seen people so let me see if we can do this. Put the index back on. Let's get the gradient tool up here in Gimp. I've got it going from black, so the foreground color, to transparent. Let's see if this is the good way. Maybe you could put like a little shading so it looks like you have a nice tinting on your window. Maybe we don't like that. Let's go a little bit farther back. All right, yeah, and that's kind of how the stock model cars are. Okay, boom, that looks good. Enter. All right, yeah, and in the game that'll be transparent. So we go File, Overwrite. I just overwrote my indexed picture. Notice how super nice this looks. Let's do the back window too, because that's fast enough. And then that should be enough. The side windows won't be transparent yet. Let's do the back window too, and then we'll go check it in the game, and then you guys will be ready to do it yourselves. So grab this stuff. This is a little, looks like there's a little bend to it. Maybe I shouldn't be too careful about that. All right, so boom, 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 boom. Probably fine. We want to delete from the alpha channel, so that's the only one we want selected. Boom. Notice if I hide the alpha channel, the index channel, the alpha gets deleted, the index just has black. Maybe it is deleting from the main layer. Yeah, maybe. And there is a way just to erase off the alpha layer, but I'm not doing it now. Oh well. Put the alpha back in here so we can see. All right, that's good. And then, excuse me, we will do our transparency stuff here. That looks good. We can have some tinting there as well. Boom. All right, enter. File, overwrite. So I just overwrite my index file, and then watch this. So my bump file is already all transparent. So that should be good to go. The bump file, I think, mainly controls the lighting, though I haven't quite figured everything out yet. So it's transparent. We should be able to see through the windows when we go in the game, because the index file also has transparency. For the purposes of Blender, we also want our RGB one. So I'm going to go to image mode, convert back to RGB. This is what I'm talking about. We already talked about it in the very first video. Indexed is what you need for your texture file. RGB is what you need for your bump file. RGB is also what Blender likes and textures properly. So it's nice to have 3 files: indexed for the Evo guy, bump for Evo and Blender, and then an RGB guy for Blender as well. All right, so here we go. This thing I just converted to RGB. I'm gonna save it as, or I am going to export it as this guy here. So I have my indexed one called ind right now. I'm going to export this as the RGB one that we saw in Blender earlier. And I want to show you guys how, if you start doing your transparency in the RGB one and then you go to try to go back to index mode, watch what happens. And I've messed around, so dithering of transparency you want, or else you get no transparency. Color dithering doesn't really matter. And you go and look at this ugliness. So in indexed mode, a pixel's either transparent or it's not, or something. I'm not sure what's up with that. So if you do your transparency while you're in index mode already, it works out really nicely. If you notice our lights that were also transparent before became all speckled. If you do it in the RGB texture by accident and you go to convert to index later, it messes everything up. You have to redo it. At least I don't know better or how to fix that. If you do, please share with me. I'll be happy to hear it. Okay, so we're gonna do nothing with this now. We didn't modify the bump texture at all because I already made it transparent a long time ago. So let's go back to Blender. Here we are. We can save this thing. We did some work. I think we can also export this guy. So I'm going to go File, Export as SMF. I'm in my Celica library. I want to export the model here. Celica SMF. It's not a Celica. I want to be, okay, I want to be on my Evo director. I don't know how I got in there. I'm exporting my Tercel, which should be with 1L. And don't forget to click Use V1 Materials. Boom, done. Okay, so we need to do one more thing because I've messed around in here too much. I'm going to close this for now. I'll close it by opening recent. Here's something cool that's going to happen soon. Taking Vega's old van from Monster Truck Madness 2 and try and get like a little tune effect on it. Okay, so let's see. Going back to my Evo folder in my art. I was showing you guys, so the JPG file is the original that came with it. It's irrelevant. This thing is the RGB file. So I'm going to rename this RGB. Boom. This thing is the indexed file that I had renamed indexed, and that's the one that Evo needs. If I hadn't renamed this file and this file right now, I'm calling this guy the base color one with nothing, and then calling that something else. Evo would be looking for this indexed file and would give us an error. Okay, so we have these two files because of Blender. Blender doesn't like the indexed file, it likes RGB. So you have those 3 files for seeing things right. Let's go back to Evo 2 and see if this is going to work for us. An Oculus headset. All right, so Snake River Canyon as usual. Not the Cybertruck this time, but the Tercel. Let's see if it fires up. Oh yeah. Let's see if our windows are transparent. They don't look very transparent, huh? But the car is super shiny. That's interesting. Okay, so we've got to go see what's going on here. Double check that we did everything correct. Brake lights are still ugly. Oh, I know the issue. Hey, here's something for people who've never noticed this before. Why is my car so shiny and the window's not transparent? That is because in the graphic settings, I must have my reflections on medium. So if you have your stuff on medium or high, the windows are no longer transparent. Off, I don't know, but let's do low just to see. Low will be transparent for sure. And then let's see if that works for us. Hey! Yes, it did. You may notice here, there's no inside of the car. Well, we didn't make an inside of the car yet. So you need another separate model, like of your car, that is all the interior stuff. So you could take the exterior model and flip it. There's our guy. Awesome. And then we need to build him an interior. And if you're gonna have the back window cut out, you need an interior of the whole car, or you just see right through it. But we got the windows working. Can we tell the shading? Yeah, I think. Yeah, look at that. The tinting looks really nice on the back and the front. So that worked, and it's super clean. Remember to do that stuff on the indexed file itself, and then you can always convert the indexed file to an RGB file later, just so that you can look at something nice in Blender. But the game cares about that indexed file. So having the bump be semi-transparent and having the indexed guy be totally transparent gives us this effect. Now, I guess another tutorial we've got to do is building the inside of the car if you don't have one. But I think at this point you can probably imagine how to do it. Let me know in the comments if you need more explanation, and I'll make a video. Otherwise, enjoy. Thanks for watching, and until next time.